I would have made it. How you doing, Mr. Baker? Very good seeing you
out of
again.
his mind.
Yeah. I couldn't take it this morning.
I think the whole Obama thing is really getting to him.
Yeah.
Well,
I would have thought you just would have been in such a good mood after the whole Bin Laden.
Yeah. Well, I am in a good mood about that. I had an altercation with some driving this morning on my way in, and you know, and the fact that Obama is you know, coming down to ground zero and going to be screwing up New York City again. Could you just give your speeches from the White House? It's very nice.
Well,
very good.
It's important that he goes to ground zero. That's Thursday, right? I want to start by saying I saw you all over the TV yesterday, Mike Baker.
I'm sorry about that.
You're a big get right
Mike's
now.
the go-to guy.
I'm a huge get. Yeah, although I was bigger during the royal wedding.
That was a big one.
I was all over the place.
And you're usually a Fox guy, but I think I saw you on CNN yesterday, right?
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Oh, Jesus!
Is that going to mess you up a little bit?
No. You know what? I'm good to go anywhere. Yeah, I'm a complete media whore. I'll go anywhere.
Do it. Go anywhere. Why not? Wow, so much to get into. First of all, we all heard how this happened. So far, the details are still coming in. But as far as when this started, when the real intelligence came in that this guy is probably in Pakistan, this compound is very suspicious. Do you have any idea when that first started really ringing some bells?
Yeah, you know, the amazing thing about this is you know, you get that 40 or so minutes on the ground, right? And rightly so, everybody's fixated on that because that's, you know, that's the hot time. But
sure,
to get to that point, you got an incredible amount of work that goes on ahead of time. And what happened was they started picking up some information all the way back to 2007, really.
Wow.
You know, even a little bit before then, from detainees. And where were those guys? They were, you know, being held by the agency.
Yeah.
And, of course, that program wasn't very popular for quite a while. So
didn't Khalid Muhammad mention the name? Didn't they get it from him?
Well, they got it from they were picking up stories from a variety of places about individuals, because what they were looking for was, you're looking for anybody who's somewhere in Bin Laden's orbit. And you're trying to find some point of entry, right? And so they didn't care who it was, somebody who was handling money, logistics, whatever it could be. And they started getting some stories involving the same pseudonym, the same alias. And once you do that, you're getting, you know, over here you get one, you know, detainee talking about it. He mentions the alias. You think, that's interesting, because over here, you know, last month somebody mentioned the same person.
Kind of corroborates the stories.
So then you start triangulating in, and they started running these names in a very coordinated fashion. Interrogations are incredibly labor intensive. So unlike what, you know, all the crap was in the media about, oh my God, interrogations,
waterboarding,
you know, it's in a very controlled atmosphere. Right. And so you take all this information, and they started running it past Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and one other individual, Libby, and these guys just blanked, right? They had some, we don't know, you know, it doesn't ring any bells. And, you know, in an interrogation, that sort of thing, if you've been picking up sort of a consistency from independent interrogations, that'll ring a bell. And rightly so, they thought, well, hold on a second, if both these guys are blanking on this pseudonym or this alias, then maybe we got something here. They started working that, more, you know, personnel out in the field, more recruits in terms of Pakistani agents, everything they could find, and they eventually got a family name for for this guy who was a courier.
Wow.
And
a courier does what? Brings information or brings the tapes back and forth? Or what exactly do they do?
Pretty much anything. You know, I mean, he's running messages.
It's like Kenny.
Not so much running cash, you know, but yeah.
Does he go grocery shopping?
In fact, one of the detainees actually coughed up Kenny's name.
Yeah, Kenny gave up Club Soda Kenny.
Yes. He said, Lurch.
Code name dummy.
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed said, I don't recognize the name. And so, but that's the sort of work that it took. And they got the family name. Once you get the family name, then you take it. It's you know what? In a way, it's like an investigation you'd watch on CSI or anything else. It is incredibly painstaking and labor intensive, not particularly exciting, but you got to do all that work to get your 40 minutes on target.
Right. To get the to go to the big game, as they say.
Exactly.
It's fascinating to learn that they were watching this in real time at the White House. Now that's like Hollywood movie stuff right there.
Yeah, it's like a Tom Clancy thing.
Thinking that they're sitting there actually watching. Now I would guess some helmet cams.
Yeah, a lot of coverage, as you can imagine, because and it's not so much cover your ass, although unfortunately in today's world, there's got to be an element of that. But a lot of it is also for verification purposes, forensic purposes. They want to make sure that they've got a lockdown on everything there, including the people, the gear that they're picking up, and they picked up some tremendous material off of this.
Oh man, from what I heard, now obviously we just hear what's filtered through the news, but. From what I heard, a lot of computer equipment, a lot of storage.
A lot of Bin Laden's porn stash.
Yes. And that would just be a kicker if you looked in there and just said,
how great would that be?
He's into Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. But they got Osama.
Particularly if it was like goat porn or something.
But they basically got Osama's hard drive. That's just amazing.
Right, absolutely. And I think one of the best things about this is the fact that it was just outside of Islamabad, right?
Yeah.
And, the Pakistanis are all like, I don't,
Yeah, now this is really bringing up a lot of shit with the Pakistanis because it was next to what amounts to their version of West Point, so it was very relatively close to it. A huge complex that really didn't fit the neighborhood, and the Pakistanis are just saying, "Hey, we didn't know." Now, even saying we didn't know makes them look stupid because how do you not know? Yeah, how do you not raise suspicion where you would go and maybe check it out or something?
Especially because this thing was being built in 2005, let's not forget. This isn't an old mansion. They keep saying a mansion. It's more of a compound that they started building in 2005 and no one is suspicious that this thing is going up.
And you know what this shit is like overseas? In places like this, right? Anything that's happening is more interesting than what's going on in your day, right? So everybody in that neighborhood, which is it's a nice area, it's a kind of a picturesque part of Pakistan, but all these people out there are saying things like, well, we had no idea, we're so surprised, and you get somebody saying, well, you mean that tall guy down the street? Well, I always had my suspicions.
What do you think the cover story was? What do you think they gave? They had to tell people in the neighborhood something. When they're walking by and they're seeing these big walls, I wonder what they said. Like, no, it's just
mine are up beeswax, probably.
No, they probably told them it was something else. I wonder what they told people that was believable.
Right. A lot of the military retired to that area, so maybe that knock down the suspicion slightly. I don't know.
They might have told us for a general or something.
Who knows?
I mean, from a cover standpoint, it was a smart move, right? For a variety of reasons. Basically, he's thrown himself right in plain sight, almost. And then he's also put himself in an urban area. Obviously, the last thing that he wanted to do was get hit by a drone. So he knew that drones aren't going to be flying over that part of town. So there were smart reasons for them to put him there, but it's inconceivable. There is no way in hell that there weren't individuals in the Pakistani intel service and military who did not know that he was there. There's just no possible fucking way.
It's just so odd that for so many years, and you realize how long he had probably been in this compound here, but for all those years that we just pictured him in that cave, kind of on a little blanket, and just thought he was there for almost 10 years, after 9/11, that he's just huddled in that. And meanwhile, he's got his bed, he's got his computer.
They showed a satellite dish.
Yeah.
Guy was living large.
He's got his Spike TV and all that.
Sure. No, Netflix.
How long was he living there? They're starting to say at least 3 years, right?
Yeah, they think he was a good long time. And so, if you go, at the end of the day, even a year is, excessive when you think about where that location is.
Where it is.
What's required. So, again, we'll go through a dance right now, and we already have started that dance. Secretary Clinton went out yesterday and talked about the terrific support and cooperation of
the Pakistani government. Yeah,
what the hell is that all about?
That came out of nowhere, and it was like, why are you even saying that?
Right.
Like, not only is it utter bullshit, but you probably would get more mileage by not saying anything than saying, wow, they really helped. Did they?
Well, did it come out that we didn't even tell them?
Yeah,
right. I mean, we
couldn't trust them at all.
We couldn't trust them, right? And there were scenarios that are drawn up. Anytime you have something like this, obviously, what happens, and you present the information to the president. The president will say, okay, well, go away and come up with a plan. And so JSOC, the Joint Special Operations Command, and the CIA, together put together some scenarios. One of the scenarios was actually to do a joint op with the Pakistani military. So you can imagine what that was like. Okay, scenario 3.
Let's tuck that aside and
put that in the shredder.
Is it possible that they passed the information to the U.S. and then just wanted nothing to do with it because of backlash, but from giving him up? Like, is it possible that giving him up to us presented a lot of backlash from their people who really are a lot of they're Muslim? I mean, and they might have rather have looked stupid than have looked like they fucking betrayed him to the U.S.
No, I see where you're going with that. I mean, it's anything's possible. I don't think that's I don't think that there's any chance that happened. Right. Honestly, that if that were going to happen, he would have been long gone. I mean, there's a concerted effort here. And again, you don't want to make too much of it. It's not a government-wide conspiracy. It's not like the entire Pakistani military and government were in on this.
There's enough rats in there.
Right. There was enough. And we've always known that. We've always known there's sympathizers within the intel service over there and within the military. So that's not a surprise. But we've always been able to play this game, that says, well, but we're still pretty much on the same sheet of music. Well, in a way, we are, because their sheet of music says, we don't want our power base to fall, right? They've got their own special interests. We got ours. Sometimes they match, and sometimes, more often than not, they don't really mix. But we do this all the time overseas.
Yeah.
So
how are we able to get the people that we needed, the helicopters and the resources, in to Pakistan, pretty close to the capital, relatively speaking, without them knowing, without the Pakistani government, picking it up and saying, "Hey, who the hell are these guys?"
We used a CIA time portal.
Love those.
We haven't talked about it before, but I guess we might as well disclose it now because I
knew it.
Yeah,
it's a time portal.
Yeah. They told me to say at least one thing that nobody knew about when I come on the show.
Exclusive time portal.
Exactly. But it's the flight went in from just across the border in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We got operating bases all over, but this came out of Jalalabad, and the surrounding area, and it's where that compound is located is maybe a half day's drive from there to the Afghan border. That's a drive, right? Everything takes forever in a vehicle over there. So you load up the choppers, you head out. It's a harrowing journey, but it's a quick one, relatively speaking.
Right.
And they're coming in low. But it's a good question, because one of the biggest issues they had, because we're not doing a joint op, was they got to get in, right? They got to get out without some big fucking goat rope with the Pakistani military.
Right. Yeah. That would have sucked.
That would have sucked. That would have sucked. Yo. And so they got in. They had a lot of air assets up there besides the choppers, obviously.
I'm sure.
And everything from the drones to surveillance to gunships. But it was a hell of an operation. But it was a very well planned operation. I mean, these guys and the guys that were involved in this, the SEALs, and also the CIA paramilitary, personnel. I mean, if you're not doing it, you're training, right? And so there's no downtime. You're always training. And in something like this, once they decide on the scenario, and once the president approves it, and the clock is really ticking at that point, because you've gotten your surveillance in, right? You've got eyes on target. So you've already got assets out there, and you've got now a problem. How much time do you spend training and preparing for it? And then how much is too much time, because you might lose the opportunity, or the information might get out. Somebody finds out about it. So
it's got to be a nerve-wracking time.
That's that point in time where it's really high speed, right? Because you've got to make that calculation, and then now you got to go. And at a certain point, you're never going to have, just like they're going to be talking about this for a while now, but they didn't really have the visual that they wanted on Bin Laden. Right?
No, apparently no one really had confirmation that he was absolutely in that place.
Right, but you know what? They had enough information, and this is typical of really good operations. At some point, somebody's got to have the balls to just get off the X. Right, so you got to make that decision, and the agency and the SEALs came together and said, "Okay, we got it. We got enough to take this risk," and off you go. But I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I had a
amazing
question about that. Shit, I forgot what I was going to ask.
Oh, Jimmy.
It was something about Bin Laden.
Something about
his house. Oh, Predator drones. How high do they do they fly, and do they have, were they surveilling him 24 hours, you think? How are they keeping a 24-hour watch on him without people on the ground?
Drones and satellite coverage.
Oh,
and yeah, the drones are. I mean, you're talking, way up there in the flight ceiling. 10,000, 12,000, higher. I mean, these things are. When you look at these things, they are. They're varying sizes too, depending on what you want. Oftentimes you see the pictures of the armed drones, right?
Right.
Pretty massive. But the surveillance drones. You're talking about a real high speed, small things, but they'll stay up in the air also for multiple days at a time.
And you couldn't even see them at that
absolutely
altitude
not.
with the size they are.
Absolutely not.
Well, how small are they?
You never see these coming.
How small are they?
You know what? I mean, honestly, I'm not giving away any sources and methods. Some of this stuff has been talked about, but I mean, the size of a pizza pan. Some of these things. No, absolutely true. Yeah.
Oh, are they really?
Oh, yeah.
I took photos in front of them in Iraq. We got to sit in the actual control panel. They wiped it clean, as they say.
Yeah.
But they were like. They were big. They were like, almost as long as the room. But that's.
But they have to.
Those are the armed, where they
the armed
hellfire the shit out of something.
I'm thinking they have to control like we used to control our motorized helicopters and stuff. How do they keep them up without hitting a tree?
Guys standing out in the field.
Hey, and with the training, they do a mock compound somewhere.
Yeah, you'll set up in
I mean, it's as close to exact as possible.
Absolutely, and so the people, there's so many people involved in some. I mean, well, okay, it's not like there's thousands of people involved, but there are people that never get any recognition. I mean, all the way down to the guys that are putting together these mock-ups. Ballistic shooting houses, basically, that are built off the blueprints of, for instance, this compound.
So when those guys went in, they were very familiar with it after all the training they did.
Yeah, exactly. To as much as you always. Your preference is, just train, right. But, they had such good coverage on this place because we had so much surveillance going on and coverage of it leading up to this. Once we finally determined we've got a target here that's really credible, that, you got almost everything except for the architectural blueprints, right? So you know that it's 15 paces once you breach that door, to that corridor. And that corridor is going to go left and then it's going to go right. You know how high that wall is that you got to be concerned with. And this is what these guys do.
Sure. As far as surveillance goes, so you have surveillance on the compound. I've always wondered this when you're watching somebody. A van leaves the place. How do you know Bin Laden's not in that van?
Well, I mean,
because it seems like that's the easiest way to get someone out. All of a sudden, a van pulls up. Next thing you know, the van pulls away. And you're sitting there as the surveillance guys going, "What the fuck, is he in there?"
Right. If it's not, you're right. If it's not a Prius or something like that, and you can't see through the windows, then.
But how does that play out with you guys?
Well, the short answer is you don't know, and that's actually a good point because what you get used to, and what I've found when I talk to people is, beach books, movies, they expect everything to be cut and dried, right? It's all, okay, it's either this or it's that. Well, it's never that. I mean, it's always fucking gray and murky, and you're making decisions, and you're moving forward based on really imperfect information. And so you never get to that point where you have, 100% confirmation or 100% quality intel.
So it obviously freaks you out if you see a van come and go. You're like, wow, is he even in there? Are we going to commit to this now?
But that, what that does is that sends all sorts of other things in play because then you got to have the resources in place to say, okay, well, somebody pick that up. And you take
now look at the van, follow it,
figure out what the hell it is,
see who gets out of it,
and everything leads to something else. So now you got to worry about, well, fuck, we've never seen this vehicle before. Now we got to run that to ground, right? And you're talking about, it's not like here in New York City or someplace else. Not that the police work is easy, but it's not like you go to the DMV and Peshawar and say, well, I'd like to look up the plate number, But so everything leads to something else. It's just like this never-ending,
It's what's that saying where every military plan falls apart with the first point of contact? It's just however much you plan, usually the first point of contact with the enemy, you're going to have to start thinking on your feet and change it.
Absolutely.
Now, the copter is a prime example. That helicopter not being able to leave that compound, obviously they had a contingency plan for that.
Right.
They had enough resources to still get everybody out, which is great, and got rid of the old helicopter there. It's like, we can't have it, you can't have it.
No, I get to blow it up.
Did Obama make some ballsy calls here? Because they were saying that there was a few calls that weren't just like, all right, he's the president, he let it go. Like there was actually timing issues and stuff where he said, let's go for this or let's do this. Did he actually have something to actually do with this?
Oh no, absolutely. This would not have happened unless the president said, yeah, it's a go. I mean, if if he hadn't authorized it. So you got to be fair. No matter what side of the fence you're on in something like this, you've got to have respect for the fact that it was given a green light and move forward. Because he could have kind of said, geez, I don't know. What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, I'm not looking.
I don't want to be the Jimmy Carter guy.
Exactly.
Didn't he say no to a bombing for that reason? Like, because I think they said that Obama said no to a bombing because they might not be able to identify the body. And you're in a residential area, and if he's not there, and you kill civilians and he's not there, it's a
well. And it turned out there was 20 some odd people in there, children and women. So if they did,
were there?
Yeah, a lot of kids in there, like
so
toddlers.
23.
If they did fire a missile into there and just blew up a bunch of kids, might not look too.
I didn't know there was. I thought there was only 4. How did they? When they were landing, I guess the whole compound must have been alerted that they were there.
Yeah.
But I guess at that point, there's nothing they could do, right?
Well, no, I mean, exactly. Once those, because no matter how you'd like to think they're silent choppers, they make a fairly good racket. And so once they come in, they took some fire coming in. I mean, and so it's and all those kids that were in there, it's absolutely true. If we had chosen that scenario, and that was one of those scenarios, if they had chosen that bombing scenario, there would have been much less certainty over what had happened, and yes, we would have gotten them, but we would have magnified the potential for blowback.
Are you surprised there weren't more people protecting him? There was only 4 guys.
Yeah, given where he was, though. Your trade-off for kind of hiding in plain sight is your reduced profile, right? So the more security personnel you got in there, the more logistics you got to worry about. The more efforts has got to be made to keep everything tamped down.
If you have 12 armed guys walking the perimeter, people are going to start going, hey. Who lives there?
Yeah, and you know what? And
but what about 12 guys out of sight? I'm thinking because the place is big enough.
Yeah, but at some point they got to go out and get laid and whatever barbecue. You like thinking it's like the movies where his cronies are just always around him inside, but
they got lives
these
too.
are guys. They got to go out. They got to do shit.
They're all sitting out in the courtyard playing poker.
Something.
No, I see what you mean, but I think it's because they were staring at this place through satellite coverage and other surveillance means for months, trying to get a sense of what's the pattern of activity in here. We've got, because aside from just knowing the physical facilities and knowing heights of walls and everything, you got to know what is that pattern of activity, because again, what are you trying to do? You're trying to catalog people, you're trying to catalog activities, time of day when there's maybe downtime, what happens at midnight, if you're going to launch this thing at midnight.
What time did they go in? It was
about just a little after midnight.
And I have to say, what a smart Bin Laden was smarter than I think a lot of people thought. With they burned their own garbage, like little things that you might not think to do, where there's just nothing came out of there.
Oh, nothing came out of there.
Well, they had no phone line, no landline going in. They had no computers. The burning the garbage. I mean, honestly, it's interesting because the neighbors. Of course, now you're getting the neighbor thing that you get here in the U.S. Right? You got a psycho killer next to you. They all say the same thing. And here you're getting the same thing. You got a guy that's saying, well, we were so surprised. I actually read a quote from one of the locals who said, we were so surprised to find out. He says, my friend had met those people once at a bakery, and he told me about the tall bearded man, but he said he seemed very affable. I was so surprised. They seemed so nice and quiet.
Hey, could you talk about the Navy SEALs a little bit? Yeah, this special unit.
Yeah.
Well, this was SEAL Team 6.
They sound like motherfuckers.
Yeah. All, you know what? I got to tell you, they all are. I mean, they're all. Talk about fantastic. Talk about well trained. I mean, all the special forces, right? But and it's just the SEALs and 6 has been working in Afghanistan, since 2001, and so they are very familiar with the turf and the terrain. They are incredibly. Adaptable, right? So you throw a problem at them, and they're almost, I don't want to say they're cerebral, but they basically are. I mean, they're thinking soldiers, right? And they, not that the others are. That's not to disparage any of them, but they are a tremendous group, and the training that they go through and continuously go through, the single-mindedness that they have, and this operation, was just incredibly well put together. But it was also, I mean, a big, kudos out to the agency. I mean, the CIA was pretty much leading the charge in terms of the intel, and also military planning right alongside, because our paramilitary operations within the agency are just second to none.
No, it's speculative, obviously, and because we don't know for sure at this point. They said they encountered bin Laden, and he would not give up. He resisted, and he took a double tap to the head. Just speculation on your part, knowing some of the people in the mindset of some of this. What kind of chance do you think they really gave him to give up? Before they pop him twice in the noggin.
Okay, we're gonna get this straight. Yeah, you can imagine bin Laden, like he's scratching his ass, he's eating a Hot Pocket. He walks out to hear what the noise is all about, and and someone says, "Do you want to give up?" No, you know what? They took that seriously, honestly, because they knew this was going to be the end result. I mean, they walked this through. I mean, and these guys, they're not operating in a bubble, so they're not going to say, okay, here's our, they have these discussions, where they are brought in to understand the implications of things that may happen during the course of this operation, and so they took that command, to attempt to detain him seriously, but. You got a lot going on around you, right?
It's probably,
it is very chaotic moments, and so you're going to give them an opportunity, but you're not going to stretch that out into
it's not going to be a negotiation a fucking blockade kind of a. Hey, he's in here. Let's talk him out.
Right, and
your mother's here. She's out here on the street, Osama.
Come on out, Osama.
Wait, do you really think that what they did was genius, because he's vanished? He's off the face of the earth. There's nowhere for people to go. There's nowhere to build a shrine, and he's not alive, so they can't take hostages, because people would be taking hostages all over the world to try to secure his release if they had kept him alive. You couldn't take him alive. You had to kill him.
It's impossible.
And having a place, a pilgrimage to go and have a place where he's buried to, inspire people. It is a very strategic thing, I think, that they just dumped him in the ocean.
That's great.
Right. Well, nobody was going to take that body anyway. I mean, reports are that they asked the Saudis, and I believe they did. I mean, he was a Saudi. You can imagine the Saudis say, we don't want that.
We don't need that shit.
And so nobody else was going to take him. And they were absolutely right to do what they did. They showed, frankly, and I think, for correct reasons, they showed some real sensitivity and said, okay, fine, we're going to stick with sort of Muslim burial practices. Yeah, all right, I get what they're doing with that. Frankly, would I who cares? But
yeah, exactly.
But again, you're thinking about the implications after the fact.
Right. But is that sensitivity, or is that smart, like using their own religion as an excuse to dump the body immediately? Like, hey, you guys are the ones that want to bury him immediately. Adios.
No, it's convenient. I mean, it's good that Muslim burial practices don't say we got to bury the body within, say, 7 or 8 days. Whatever.
24 hours. Come on, we got to help this guy out.
I don't think we care that he got a proper burial. I think Jimmy's onto something.
I think it was just a great way to get rid of him, and he's in the wind.
Yeah,
where do you go?
So there's a guy out there that knows he killed bin Laden. I'm fascinated by that part of the whole story. Like, and the world will never know the guy.
Will we ever know who he is?
Well, you know what? The world being what it is now, I mean, if you had said this, if this had happened 30 or 40 or, during our parents' generation, World War II, no one's ever going to know.
Might be on WikiLeaks
it could be on WikiLeaks, or, maybe the guy, finishes up and signs a book deal. Who knows what's going to happen?
True. I killed bin Laden.
Does that guy get to go on vacation? Or does he have to go right back to training? Like, I can't imagine you're the guy that just took out bin Laden, now you have to go back to your, quote, job. Like, what a letdown.
You go out for beers, and
it's
you're trying to pick up a girl.
It's his stairway to heaven.
Exactly.
What do you do after that?
Yeah, these guys will be given some downtime, because they've been training. It's been nonstop training, right? In preparation for the op, so they'll definitely get some downtime. But the good thing about these guys is, just like with my old lad, is they know how to keep their mouths shut, right?
Sure.
They know how to, so
that's part of it.
Until there's a reason to, or there's an opportunity, and the military says yes, from our perspective it's okay, then they're going to keep their yaps.
Does a guy like that get special privileges? We've been talking about that off and on.
Let me expose why we talk about that. We all have this daytime fantasy that we're the guys, so we want to be accurate in our fucking childlike fantasies about what life is like after you do that.
I mean, it's not.
I mean, get an extra heap of mashed potatoes in a mess.
Do you get a break on your taxes? Just some dumb thing.
That's right. A free house and a hybrid car.
Will the president ever put a medal on the guy? I mean, like a public.
There's more than a certificate coming their way. There's no doubt about that.
I bet they're going to have a.
Will the whole team be treated equally? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mike. Will they all, like the guy who actually shot him, it could have really literally been any one of them that shot him. I mean, they're all...
Absolutely. You don't know what's going to happen when you rock up. I mean, you've got your movements, you've got your
the guy
disciplines.
Knows. They all know who shot him.
Oh, no, I know.
Oh, no, they know. But I mean, in terms of once you rock up on site, you don't know. I mean, it could happen to any of these guys. They could be the one who gets to tap them.
You go into a room. And
did they have a little office pool before they went in?
That's right. Wait, don't shoot him. Remember, Bobby's downstairs and he won. So, Bobby, can you get up here?
Everyone throws $100 in. Whoever gets the kill shot gets the pot.
Where were the kids and the women that they didn't get killed? I mean, there's a couple of people I didn't realize.
It's a big compound. It was a big compound.
So they had a feeling that that's where they were, and where they had a feeling.
Well, they had to clear the place, and so they you do the logical. They cleared from the ground up. And again, all this was based on the intelligence that they had in terms of the surveillance and everything. So they created the scenario on how to move through this facility.
And you're talking 40 guys approximately that went into this complex.
Was, more than that, but there were not very many that actually landed. But again, there's guys protecting the perimeter, and locking that down.
But I would gather there's also people going through the compound, clearing. And if it isn't bin Laden or another guy with a gun and it's women and children, obviously, you don't open up on that. You secure it, and they were given over to the Pakistani officials, the women and children. But, you hold them down, make sure nothing happens to them while... the fun and hijinks happen upstairs or something.
What if you got the duty of watching the toddlers?
I know, that's just Bin Laden's getting there's a firefight upstairs and I'm watching some kid piss his pants.
Playing with a stuffed animal. Come on, don't cry.
It's okay. Handing out chocolates like the old days. Uncle Paul.
So you think that so Bin Laden, whatever he's doing in the bedroom, knows what's happening. He obviously knows they're coming for him. He hears the helicopters shooting, people yelling in that silly language. And he just got to sit there and kind of wait, knowing he's going to be killed.
Right. Well, he's and he was up on an upper level, and along with one of his wives and a couple others. But I mean, it was clear. I think probably in his mind, once that the choppers came up over, that there was a problem.
Yeah, there could be a problem.
Yeah. And so
having a look at that American soldier though, for that split second or whatever it took before he got popped, had to have just been a moment for him, like, oh shit.
Yeah, but you do have to wonder. Like you said, you raised that question about how long was that invitation to surrender?
Right.
And did the guy have to look through his dictionary? He's keeping a beat on him. He's saying, okay, now let me form a sentence here. Do you want to surrender?
Are you coming with me? Are you going? But to look, because obviously that had to look very intimidating. An American SEAL standing in front of him, armed to the hilt, helmet, night vision, whatever he has on his helmet, and then just having to look at him like, motherfucker, they got me.
Yeah. My neighbor was pissed.
Really?
Yeah, Arnold Al-Zawahiri. He's this guy that lives next door to me.
Oh, God.
Creepy doctor that helps me out when I need Cialis. Egyptian fella.
We got
he's number one on the list now.
We got more.
Morgan, I guess, is
Morgan
coming
Spurlock. You want to stick around, Mike?
Yeah, I'd love to if you've got space.
Cool.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it's a timing issue today. We got a lot going on. Morgan did a movie.
He did a movie about going up in London.
Yeah. So is he outside the studio or? Yeah, let's bring in Morgan.
This was, before, obviously, before this happened, he had been putting this movie together.
Hey, Morgan. Movie now.
How you doing, man?
Good to see you again, brother. Good to see you.
Hi, buddy.
Mike Baker.
Yes. Mike Baker.
Obviously, we're going to talk about the new movie, but we saw the old movie where you went after, Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, I was in Pakistan.
You did. I was trying to remember.
Pakistan. I was watching that movie going, what the hell's he in Pakistan for when we know he's in Afghanistan?
I was trying to remember if you made it to Pakistan.
No, that's where we ended up. We ended in Pakistan. It's where the film. It's where we stopped.
Right.
We were in Peshawar, about to cross into the tribal areas, and at that point, my wife was about a month and a half away from having our child, and I said, I think it's about time for me to go home. The night before we were about to cross over. Or a couple nights before, 2 nights before, there was a madrasa that was blown up within the tribal area where I guess like 75, 80 people were killed, and the report was it was an Al-Qaeda training camp, and everybody in the region was like, no, it's not true, and all the journalists were there like saying you should not go in there. It would be a very bad idea for you, my American friend, to go wandering in.
What they also said was you should go to Abbottabad.
That's right.
Exactly. But I went home.
How far were you from where they actually caught him?
Probably about, when we were in Islamabad, so Peshawar was further west. When we were in Islamabad, we were probably about, I'm guessing, 40 miles.
Yeah, they said 30, 40 miles.
So close.
Yeah.
You know how annoying the people that work at the drugstore across the street were? Like, that was fucking 25 million sitting across the street for 3 years.
We blew it. Oh, my God.
And back then, did people think that, he was in Pakistan?
Well, people thought he was, the reports were that he wasn't in that, in this compound where he was that whole time. Like, they didn't get, like, confirmed intelligence, I think, that he was there until, like, middle of last year, that he was still moving around. When we were there, everybody was thinking he was still in like Waziristan, in the tribal area, like hiding out, in that region. So, and that's where everybody was pointing us to head.
Wow.
But yeah, the fact that he was like in some big giant compound right outside the capital is pretty phenomenal.
It really is. So I guess you were surprised then when you heard the news.
Yeah, it's like, wow. He's like, wow, he's right outside of town. He's in the burbs.
He's a commuter. Howard Johnson right across the street from there.
That's right. Yeah.
That's why I just pictured him looking exactly like he does with the headgear and the big beard, just pushing a lawnmower outside his house, waving to the neighbor.
Grilling outside.
Yeah. Edging the curb.
Yeah, right.
See this big fucking turban over the 7-foot wall bouncing. Who lives there?
It's a tall gentleman.
Yeah, he certainly is. So what's your new project? You do great stuff, man.
Yeah, no, thanks. It's a new movie that looks at the whole world of like advertising, marketing, and product placement. And the whole film's actually paid for by advertising and product placement.
I saw the trailer for this, and it looks hysterical. And it looks at first impossible.
Yeah.
But you pulled it off.
Yeah.
And the product placement thing is hilarious because it's everywhere. It gets to the point where you're just going around getting sponsorships in these meetings,
right?
Which came off, some of them looking ludicrous, sitting down with these people like they couldn't believe what you were trying to do, and but you pulled it off.
Yeah, no, we raised the full budget of the movie through sponsors, like about $1.8 million, which is nothing, because the story just broke yesterday that the 007 film, the new 007, a third of that movie is going to be paid for by product placement.
Oh, really?
So a third of like $50 million of that budget. So it's like that whole movie's going to be like a giant like commercial
just
for
a
like
commercial.
Tuxedos and Aston Martins,
watches, and cool James Bond.
Do you remember the first
PPKs?
The first time I saw product placement was in Superman 2 that I can remember, or that I recognized, when he gets thrown through a Marlboro truck. That was they're fighting in the street. That's the first time I can remember acknowledging a product that was in a movie.
Well, he gets tossed through the big Coca-Cola sign.
That's
too.
right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that part.
That's right. No, I mean, I remember as a kid when I went to see E.T. and I'd never had a Reese's Pieces, and as a kid, I loved the M&Ms. The M&Ms were amazing. I loved Reese Cups, and now here was a Reese Cup in an M&M. I was like, holy cow, it's the best of both worlds. Shit, I'm in. Yeah.
Did they say that in E.T.? I don't remember.
No, they didn't say what it was. They just said Reese's Pieces, and I said, what is that? And my mom leaned over, she goes, it's like a Reese Cup in an M&M. And I was like, we're going to the store immediately.
Sounds fantastic.
They sold a few through that movie.
Yeah, they did all right.
What was the earliest product placement? Do you know?
Sheets, Birth of a Nation. Very high thread count sheets.
No, the amazing thing, like Thomas Edison, or even before that, like Jules Verne sold the naming rights to shipping companies in Around the World in 80 Days. So in a book, but But in film, Thomas Edison used to put ads for his own products in the movies that he shot.
What a whore.
Genius, I know. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. Hey, the light bulb. Check it out.
Check it out.
This is some good stuff right there. Wow. So you wound up getting the whole thing paid for through sponsorships.
Yeah.
And
so that's the best part. So like day one, the movie opened, the film was already in profit.
Yeah, see, that's now what, and all they wanted in return was that their logo be featured.
They wanted a lot more than that. Like they wanted ownership in the film. We were like, absolutely not. It's like you're giving me money to be in the movie.
So right, it's not.
You're going to go sell like widgets. Go sell your widgets. That's where
so
you
it
make
had
money.
nothing to do with them loaning you money and then you having to compensate through profit on the movie. It's strictly product placement. And does it work like a NASCAR? A sponsorship where, you know, the fender gets a little more, the hood is like the big money. And
yeah, like the people who paid the most, like, I have a suit that I wear on television.
I saw that.
It's like my NASCAR prom suit.
Yes.
And so, like, anybody who's in, like, on the lapels, those are, like, it's very high dollar value.
That's
like,
a big
right across the stomach, high dollar value.
Yeah. Okay, so it did work like that, where the placement
meant everything.
They had to cough up some more money.
Yeah.
Wow. And the fact that the movie is about getting the money is sort of this weird paradox thing.
Yeah, like Jimmy Kimmel, when he saw the film, he goes, well, this is like the inception of documentaries. And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, I'm putting that on the poster.
Yeah, because there wouldn't be a documentary if you weren't making it about
something,
making money to make the documentary. So it really is an odd concept, but that's you. That's the odd concept. That is you. Do you notice other people kind of coming out with these Morgan Spurlock-esque documentaries?
Well, it's like I always get sent emails of people who have like the people who continually to make films to like disprove like the McDonald's diet, like the disprove supersized meat. It's like, look, I ate it for 6 years and I'm still healthy. You know,
yeah.
You know, it's so I always get those emails from people, but there's a lot of people who are doing like stunt films now or putting themselves in movies. It's crazy.
Supersize Me was great. You fucked up your body.
Yeah, forever. Like to this day, like I like will gain weight like that. Like I can put on 5-10 pounds in a weekend.
You think that just genetically changed you?
Yeah. Well, I think that what people don't realize is when you gain weight, you know, that when you lose it, those fat cells don't vanish. They're like, oh, I'm going to be fine now. It's like those fat cells just don't like jump ship. They're still in there. They're just really skinny. So now my body's filled with all these.
And they're just waiting.
They're just waiting. I got these little skinny Renee Zellweger cells just swimming around my body.
Morgan.
Exactly.
That at any moment, if you eat wrong,
one more slice of pizza. One more.
Is that what lipo does? It actually takes them out. Is that why people get lipo?
It takes the fat cells out.
Oh, okay. So then you can eat a piece of cake at least, and you don't blow up immediately.
That's right. I can't.
Thinking about it?
Of course I am. My idea, I do 30 minutes on the elliptical machine, and I reward myself with a treat. Fucking fat pig hamster.
Poor Jimmy.
Sick of my body.
When does the movie come out?
It's out. Just open.
Oh, it is
just
out.
Open.
Just open?
Yeah, just open.
So what was the total budget?
For the whole film was 1.8 million.
That's what I thought you said. Okay,
so it wasn't a lot.
You're probably going to do well with this. You're not going to lose, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully, knock on wood. But that's the thing. Is like there's brands that came on. Like we sold the above the title sponsorship to the movie, so the movie's actually called Palm Wonderful Presents the Greatest Movie Ever Sold.
Yeah,
and so they bought the above the title sponsorship for $1 million, but we didn't get the full $1 million up front. We only got $600,000. So the other $400,000 is tied to like certain box office and screens worldwide and downloads and DVD sales and. Yeah, and they were smart about their negotiating.
How much does big product placement cost, like in a major $100 million film?
Well, like in Transformers, they paid like $10 million to have like all the what I guess General Motors, all the Camaros and all the new cars in there.
Right. Yeah, but what about a box of cereal in the kitchen?
Oh, it's you know what I mean? It's like 50 grand.
That's it.
150, 100 grand.
That seems like a pretty good deal.
Depends on how close it is.
Too bad they didn't do that with Bin Laden's murder. How great would that have been? Yeah, this shot's sponsored by Bud Light.
I'm really confused by that. I'm confused by this movie because what do you tell the sponsors that they're going to be in this movie?
Yeah. That kind of takes the piss out of being sponsors of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but it's kind of like that reverse cool thing, right? Then they kind of get some cred, because they're in with something that's you know.
But how do you tell them what they're
right?
How do you tell them what the movie's about?
I basically tell them, say it's a movie all about this. That's basically paid for by this.
That's
gonna be great.
One of the funniest.
Amazing.
But that's some of the funniest things. What I saw in the trailer was in the conference rooms when you're talking to these people and trying to convince them that this is a great idea.
It's a great idea. It's all about product placement, and you're going to pay to be in the movie. And, and it wasn't easy. Like we called, I called over 600 companies to sponsor the film, of which 97.5% of them said no. Like the success rate on this film was like 2.5%.
I was very happy to see the pony shampoo.
Mane and tail.
Mane and tail got in there.
I just feel like you would be stuck in a loop, though. Yeah. And then they go, but what's the movie about?
Right.
And then you say it again, but what's the movie about?
It's a paradox.
And then I say, you're watching the movie right now. This is it. Right now, we're shooting.
Morgan, you're brilliant.
We're shooting.
You're
right
fucking brilliant.
Yeah, at one point, and the shot is hysterical because somebody goes, "What's the movie about?" And Morgan just turns around and goes, "This is it.
You're in it. You're in it already. You don't even know it."
What was the biggest surprise yes you got?
The biggest surprise, was Hyatt Hotels, like Hyatt, which is like a really real conservative company, conservative family. Like when they jumped on, I was like, wow, we might actually pull this off. This is fantastic. What was like some mom and pop like Bob's Shipping? It's like a real company.
Hey, that's a good question. When did you realize that this was going to be a movie that people would see? Because you go into this going, this could be a disaster.
Yeah, well, you never know. I think Sundance, when the movie premiered at Sundance and it played.
No, I mean when you were filming though.
Oh, like,
where you knew as a creative person that you had something.
There was a moment when we called Mane and Tail when I was speaking to them on the phone.
Yeah,
and I was chasing them for months to try and get them to do the movie. And finally, about halfway, I set up a call with him. I'm talking to the president of the company, and you hear me say to him on the phone, he goes, "Well, how's it going to work?" And I said, "Well, we'll probably see the product in the beginning. You and I'll have a conversation somewhere in the middle, talking about the placement, and then we'll see it again in the end."
Wow.
And he goes, "That sounds great." And as I was having that phone conversation and we're filming it, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that all just actually happened right during that."
Perfect. Yeah, I can cross that one off.
Done.
Was there a sponsor that you really wanted to get that didn't come through?
Well, I really wanted to see. The whole goal was to make like a documentary blockbuster, like a docbuster, and you can't have a blockbuster without a fast food partner. Well, and so I was like, well, we got to have a fast food partner. So of course we called McDonald's. McDonald's didn't call back. They said,
supersize me.
I called them 4 times, 5 times. Like literally, I'm calling like 5th time, 6th time. I left a message. I'm like, hey, it's Morgan Spurlock. It's going to be really different this time. Please call me. Here's my number. Thanks. Never called back.
They hate you, don't they?
We got a great relationship. I call them, they don't call back. Works out fine.
Well, that's the strange thing. Super Size Me did great, and you didn't affect their numbers in the end. Maybe in the short term,
they did better in the end. I think they're worth.
You think your movie actually helped their business?
They should send me a thank you note.
Yeah,
or at least like some sort of like a pick me up bouquet made out of like bacon and fries.
Right. Do you eat there at all ever?
Never.
Never.
The last time I ate there was March 2nd, 2003. Like at the party scene at the end of the movie, you see me kind of having my final birthday farewell.
Right. Yeah,
that was it.
I like the occasional coming home on the road at 2 in the morning. There's nothing open. The rest areas all have McDonald's, and I'll grab a couple of hamburgers. Once in a while, it's great, but I can't do it more than once every 2 months.
Yeah, but late at night, I find there's other great places to get burgers in the city. Like there's great dirty
in New York,
The
rest of the country doesn't have that.
Yeah,
in the city, it's like, why the hell would you bother? There's so many great burgers.
So many good burgers. Yeah, but if I'm in LA, I love the original Tommy Burger, like at Beverly and Rampart, that's out in East LA. It's like this little shack that's been making burgers for like 50, 60 years, and it's like a heart attack and a wrapper. But that's a great late night burger.
How's Five Guys? I haven't had one yet.
Five Guys pretty good.
Yeah.
I had
a Five Guys burger.
No, I didn't even know it was a place. I thought it was an odd question.
It's like, is this his next documentary?
Five Guys. Sounds like a lot of work.
It's like a new Belladonna movie.
That's worse than 4, not as bad as 6.
We go way back with you. You remember, right?
Way back, I bet you will. Way back.
Remember that?
Way back when you guys.
Man,
we were at WNEW.
You were on terrestrial radio. That's it.
But you came in as a nobody with this idea that did very well, and then you moved on to film.
We sold it to MTV. We were with you guys first when we were on the web.
Yeah.
You guys picked up on it early.
Didn't even realize that was you.
Remember,
right.
he would do street stuff. I'm trying to remember exactly.
He made people. He would talk for more money.
The show's called I Bet You Will, and we bet people to do stupid shit on the street for money, just to walk up to random people out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And we did some great bits. We did one on the street, which we ended up redoing in your guys' studio, which was we handcuffed 3 people together, and it was called the Piss Off. And so they would start drinking like 10 ounces of liquid every minute, and the first person to pee themselves got $100. The second person got nothing, and the third person got $500. So there was a strategy.
Yeah, there was a strategy to it, right? Do you just do it to take the?
So do you either just say, you know what, I'm just going to take the $100 and just go quick,
be the first guy,
be the first, or do you try and hold out till the end?
We're not allowed to do those bits anymore.
No.
Those were the days.
We had somebody died from a water drinking contest years ago.
Our favorite bit, St. Patty's Day, we were giving money to the first guy that would piss his pants in front of a huge crowd. Remember that?
Oh yeah, he got up on stage and just
the wet spot appeared. The place went nuts.
How long did he hold out?
I wish we had video of that.
How long did the guys hold out?
Like that person held out like an hour. I think so. It was a long time.
I don't think we did anything else that day.
Damn,
it was a long time.
A little different than what you do, right, Mike?
We would hold the same contest. Downtime. You're in a safe house for weeks and weeks.
Believe me, I'm sure there are a few times. I'm sure there are a few times you watch people piss themselves too. Varying reasons. That's right.
What do you think they're going to be? What do you think they're going to do about al-Zawahiri? I mean, he's the last one of those guys that's got to be caught.
Well, there's a lot of them, and that's the problem. They got almost a bottomless well of douchebags that they can recruit, and also, there are. I hate to say this because it makes them sound a little bit more like Lex Luthor, but there's succession plans, right? And so, Zawahiri is the logical one, and he's the one that a lot of people say, oh, it's got to be Zawahiri, but he's got problems, and first and foremost, he's an Egyptian. That doesn't set well with the Saudis and Yemenis within the group. And he's kind of he fancies himself a big thinker, right? Not necessarily an operational strategist, but there are others within. They've got a military committee. They got a couple of guys in that. They've got a couple of strategists. Even some scumbag like al-Laki, could end up rising up to the top. So somebody will take this guy's place, and it's naive to think that just because we tap bin Laden, somehow that's the demise of Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
We got and you know what, the guys in the agency and the guys in certainly the teams and elsewhere, they know better, right? They're going to enjoy the moment. And then it's back to work. It's already back to work.
That's right. Yeah. What do you think the threat level is? And I know, as far as what I hear, we're in orange. I think.
Well, remember, we got rid of that plan.
Yeah. It's all new now. I don't think bin Laden, and a lot of people are saying, it wasn't really a day-to-day guy with Al Qaeda. Right. But as far as being a figurehead, pretty huge. And taking him out, it seems like they would want to do something to make up for that. So, what do you think our level of threat is at? Do you think it's pretty high, or you think we're making a little much of it?
No. I'd say there's a heightened concern right now over potential retaliatory strikes, right?
Yeah.
Because logic just tells you, there's not anything specific yet, but they'll be watching, obviously for any potential, everybody likes to use the term chatter, but basically they're looking for any movement. And something like this, anytime you have a scenario like this, it creates movement, which is fantastic because it's like the rats putting their heads up.
Starts bringing people out.
Then you got opportunities to take out others or to develop new leads, and but there is a concern that in the short term for sure. Al Qaeda, even the Taliban, and some others are going to be looking at an opportunity to show that they're still relevant. Right?
Yeah. That just taking him out didn't destroy him. Who was the scariest person you came across there, Morgan, in your travels?
I mean, we came across some people. I mean, we were in the middle of a Taliban ambush when we were in Afghanistan, which is never a good thing to be in the middle of.
No.
Yeah.
Would you have rather? Have been shot and killed or captured in a moment like that, knowing what they do to captured Americans?
I think you might have. It depends on who captured you. You may have had a chance to live if you were captured.
So you would hold on to that hope.
I would have gone with captured.
Oh, yeah. Holding on to that hope though. That oh my God, please don't make me this. Saw the head off the guy.
Don't make me the video.
I don't want to be the video guy.
Never let yourself get captured. Whether you're talking about, I tell my my kid this all the time. I said, anybody tries to grab you, that is it. You do anything it takes, to not go in a car, not get and it's true when you're talking about terrorism, right? And you don't want to be that guy, that ends up, having to be, off that way.
That's hard.
And so you see the orange jumpsuit hanging up in your side.
But I mean, your best opportunity to get out of any situation like that is at that moment that it's happening.
Right.
And so
the abduction moment.
How old is your kid?
I got a kid who's getting ready to go to college, and then I got little toddlers. Who
I would imagine your kids know some moves, though.
Yeah.
Mike.
They're all heavily armed. Yeah.
Go for the eyes. It's all about going for the eyes.
And Morgan, it has to be said, is crazy for going over there and doing that documentary.
That is a little crazy there, Morgan.
That's insane, especially how you look. You know, you kind of look like an American.
You are the American.
I am so not the guy that fits in.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's like a middle relief picture.
It's like a big giant redhead albino walking around Afghanistan.
Don't sell yourself short. You blend.
That's right.
It's been a few years. How did you blend in again? I can't remember.
Well, I mean, even after I grew out my beard, which once I grew it out became very thick and red, it looked like, again, I looked like a very pale Santa Claus in the middle of this. Whereas my cameraman grew his out, and he looked like an Afghan. He looked like an Afghan. It's like he looked fantastic. It's like me, I did not blend at all.
Right? He'd have been like, I do not know this man.
I'm 6'2", so I'm already like almost a foot taller than like a head taller than everybody that's on the street, and this pale, lanky, you know.
Did you see anyone like you there?
Both of them. That was it. There was like one or two other guys who were very pale, but that's
why are they
rare.
there?
Making documentaries.
No, you'd see other journalists there who looked like me, but most of the guys, didn't wander too far outside of.
They just hold up their Canadian passport and laugh at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck you.
I'm Swiss.
You're going first.
That's right.
I got to cancel. I got a gig. I'm supposed to host at lunch at this Kiwanis Club in Karachi. I'm like, this is not the right time. I do typically well there, but
you should probably cancel.
Toastmasters.
Yeah, that just seems like a pretty scary thing you did there. And like before, what kind of situation was that with the Taliban?
Well, I mean, so we were embedded with the troops, and we were on a patrol with them, and then right in the middle of it, they were getting shot at. Right, it wasn't far outside of. It wasn't far outside of Kabul. We were probably about an hour out of Kabul.
And I would gather they responded in kind.
Did. Yes. They responded very much in kind.
Tenfold in kind.
As, that guy got dragged off, not alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching some videos online, and they showed one guy, and he was firing, I guess, RPG, and he fired one RPG, and you just see him get lit up. I mean, this guy had to just be an idiot. One guy with an RPG, and then you see tracer rounds just filling the weeds where there's nothing left of that guy.
Yeah.
I do like how the Americans do respond to some of those situations. Seen a lot of videos, too, where it really does dispel, because it's available now. I mean, people have cameras. They have their own cameras that they send videos to their families and whatnot, and they get out. And this whole thing of, this soldier, this John Wayne type soldier, just gets blown out the window, and it's like, holy shit, that motherfucker came apart. Yeah. You're like, wow, the mindset that takes is amazing.
How long are we going to be in Afghanistan? I mean, it's like
That's
things
exactly what I was going to say.
like with this kill team that came out recently. It's like, whenever you're somewhere long enough, there's going to be guys who fuck up and do awful stuff. Like, there was My Lai in Vietnam. You're going to have it. You can't avoid it. And it's like, when do we just get out of there?
You got guys who are like they're on like their third tour now.
Yeah.
You got guys
more.
more.
When do we just get out? What are we going to do? The Taliban is fine.
If you did 2 tours in Vietnam, like that was a huge deal. These guys are on their third tour.
Wow. There has to be something that happens in your mind where you're just like, I'm so used to this. This is nothing to me anymore.
Yeah.
Laughing at yourself when you vomited at your first friggin', split open head, and now it's just like, hey, check this guy out.
And part of it's also just dealing with the tedium, right? I mean, there's because there tends to be it's like operations. There's months of and then all of a sudden you got 5 minutes of excitement, right?
Yeah.
And then you got months of crap, and then a fight. So with the Afghanistan question, no, that's exactly the question that should be being asked right now, is what the fuck's our exit strategy? What's the game plan? And why do we honestly think it's in our national security interest to still be there trying to create some bullshit, pseudo-stable, semi-democratic institution?
Right.
Don't they want Sharia law? A lot of these places, like, why are we trying to force it on people? They don't want it. They don't want it. They want Sharia law. Let them have it. It's their country.
Well, I mean, also the Taliban. I mean, you mentioned Vietnam. We're not learning these lessons. We go back 25 years to the Russian occupation of Afghanistan. There are a lot of similarities. I've gotten into some arguments with some military strategists who say, "Oh, it's nothing like when Russia was there." Well, bullshit. It's a lot like when Russia was there. And the Taliban has no place to go. right? So they're going to sit there and they're going to wait, and they know we're going to leave at some point.
They know they'll leave. Yeah, they're very patient.
By the way, I like the fact that even on that level of guys who know their arguments are like ours, it's just like that. Bullshit. No, it's not. That's exactly the way me and him would argue it. And we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's we definitely should have some kind of exit strategy. But and I think the idea that we can keep just moving around and breaking down these Taliban camps and training camps, it's a ridiculous notion. The place is giant. They know it and will always know it and be able to travel in those mountains better than we can, even, you know. And they have the people, you know, the support of all the people. So what the fuck are we still doing?
Well, we're tending to now kind of buy into this positive spin that's being put on how things are going. I mean, we saw it right after, you know, the news came out on Bin Laden. Say, well, this is the momentum is shifting, you know, and by the way, and then you heard some of the senior officials tag on about, you know, the positive steps that we're seeing in Afghanistan. I don't know what they're watching, right? Because, you know, yes, you know, wherever our guys are, they do a great job. Wherever they are, right? But
the minute they leave,
the minute they leave, or you know, this idea that somehow we're going to leave behind. The Russians got in there, and after about 4 years, they made the decision to get the fuck out. It took them about 5 years to figure out how to do that. Now, some of the things that they were worried about, some of the things that they were trying to figure out, one was they couldn't hold the countryside, so they retreated to the urban centers, and then another thing was, how do we leave behind a government that's, you know, friendly to us and going to, you know, push forward our agenda? Well, how do we do that? Because they're corrupt and they're unstable and they're disjointed and dysfunctional. We're doing the same things. We're dealing with the same issues. And it's very, very disappointing when you think back, and I'm old enough to remember when we were back there and we were trying to push the Russians out. It's very disappointing. If you had said to back then, you guys are going to be here soon. You're going to be doing this.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll do the same thing.
That's right.
And what about, we're out of Iraq, right?
No,
not really.
No, I thought most of our combat troops were out.
Well, we're there in largely an advisory and training capacity, but that has an enormous psychological impact right now. Once we turn out the lights and walk out, you know, then it's I would argue that in Iraq it's also still sort of, you know, open book on what's going to happen.
Every documentary.
How many guys are there?
Shit, at this point, I don't even know. I don't know.
Every documentary I've watched on Iraq.
I don't know. You know, there's 470, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
That's bullshit. I'm having a high-level discussion here.
The Iraqi army is treated like garbage by the American military that is supposed to be training them, and, you know, they're the guys that are taking over. And every documentary I've seen, they're a joke. They are literally a joke force that can't seem to do anything right. It was constantly American officers telling them, keep your fucking head down. What are you doing? Get your men over there. Move. Get up. Move. Like, they don't know what they're doing. So the second we leave, whatever revolutionary force comes into power, or whatever, you know, whoever wants to take over, I don't think they're going to have much trouble stomping over the military.
It's going to be like with the Afghan National, the police, the Afghan National Police, and the Afghan National Army, where they would be in fights and they would say, no, we'll come to your side.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry about it.
We just want to be on whoever's winning.
Well, and that's a really, really good point, because, you know, everybody out there is kind of making that calculation. You know, what's going to happen when you guys leave? How badly am I going to get fucked in this equation if I fall on the wrong side of things?
That's right.
And then you've also got, you know, we've had an increase in the number of incidents where Afghan soldiers have turned on our guys or you know, allied forces, and you know, that creates sort of this, obviously it's hard to trust when you know, when the guys you're training, you know, there's been some problems like this. So I'm not hitting that bid on the whole Afghan thing.
I don't like the idea of what's going to happen after we leave. I think it's just going to go right back to what it was. Like you said, they're patient people.
Yeah.
Isn't it just ego at this point? You don't want to look bad. I mean, after we left Vietnam,
Peace with honor.
I know that. Yeah.
I love that one. Peace with honor. Really? Hightail your ass out of there. Push the Hueys off the deck, and let's get the fuck out of Dodge.
Vietnam came together as a country. They're fine. They're doing fine. They didn't, it's like...
Well, they did, yeah.
They don't need us.
But at that point, it was such... Like you could look at things now in the light of what we have today, but you look back then, that was a communist domino. Again, we would not want any country to fall to the commies, and that's why we did so much, especially in Southeast Asia and whatnot. But now, yeah, of course, there are tourists... You go there to Vietnam, you're like, hey, here's one of the tunnels.
That's right.
Check it out. It's a pisser. I mean, people actually go there.
No, get in the pit. I'll take it.
Joe, take my picture. Yeah.
We're doing a deer hunter scene. You sit there.
Yeah, here it is.
That's what's going to happen to the Osama compound.
It'll just become
Give it
an
enough
attraction.
years. Give it enough years. Don't be surprised.
Oh,
I thought we burned the whole thing down, but obviously we did not.
I thought so, too. What was the fire?
Yeah, there was a big fire they were showing.
Yeah, we blew up the chopper. There were some,
because now they got soldiers on the roof of that place, just kind of, securing it.
Pakistanis are over there
they
now.
Took over.
Hey, what do you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, take the empty fucking house.
Exactly.
We don't care.
I know
Well, it's like the governor in the Jalalabad, or the governor of the province there, wanted to turn Tora Bora into a theme park.
Just amazing.
The flume ride.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Right through the mountains.
You take a wacky picture and all of a sudden your head winds up on your back.
I know we're wrapping up with Mike Baker. I want to ask you about the conspiracy guys, because we got some audio of good old Alex Jones that we're going to play after the break.
God.
We're going to go in another direction here. He thinks Bin Laden's been dead for years.
Of course he does.
Blah, 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 blah. They froze him up, and now they decided to do this now. And tell the world that he's dead.
Right. Put Ted Williams' head on his body.
Yeah, he's a great ball player now.
What do you think when you hear stuff like that?
You know what? There's always going to be a small segment of people, strapping on their tinfoil hats and coming up with this bullshit ideas, and you're never going to be able to push them off that mark, right? No matter what you do, and so. You just got to deal with it. You say, okay, fine, that exists, and the more you respond to them, the more they dig in, right?
Do you
and
think they should show the photo? You think the photo should be shown?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly,
they have to.
They're going to have to. Exactly.
They're going to have to.
And it's not as if America hasn't seen worse on CSI.
Oh my God!
No, they're going to have to. I hear the next thing is the video of dropping them in the sea. That's going to be released.
Yeah, that'll be oddly, that'll be probably an easier call than the headshots.
Is this to shut up some of these conspiracy guys?
Well, I think
because, like we said earlier,
it's not so much to shut them up as just to convince. I don't mean convince, but to show the world, not necessarily that batch of conspiracy theorists, because they're smart enough to know that's not going to change their opinion, right?
Nothing will, right?
No, but it's kind of to bring sort of a final.
It is kind of a, hey, look what happened
around.
Look what happened to this guy.
Because like we said earlier to start this, it wasn't good enough to just blow up the compound and say we got him. It was really important to get some footage proving we got him, some DNA, maybe some video, some still pictures, right?
Right. And
that seems exhausting.
Well,
when you just want to go in and get the job done.
It happens so quick, right? I mean, because you take a couple of snaps, you upload them. You got analysts sitting on the other side of the world. They do the facial recognition. They've got. I mean, it only takes a very short while. It takes a few hours, to run DNA nowadays. And we had DNA samples from family members, from some of his half siblings and kids. So you run that. You got dental records and fingerprints. You put all of that together, and aside from just the fact that you got the motherfucker, right? You know that, but you got to go through these other steps to prove it to the world.
And when you release the picture of him dead, people will go, "Oh, that's not him." It's obvious.
Photoshop.
It's photoshopped. His eyebrows are different.
It's like Saddam had all those people who would go impersonate him. That's just
you could tell the bridge of his nose.
So weird.
So
weird to see those death shots. Remember when the Saddam thing came out?
Osama's brow looks different. Yeah, there's a hole in it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Obviously.
I see a very nervous publicist outside, so I think Morgan's got to go.
Yes,
you got a busy schedule today, Morgan?
out, as they say.
All day.
He has a hard out at 7:30.
Well,
hard out.
Well, I don't know how you do it, but you continue to make movies, sir.
I don't know how he does it. I don't get it.
Part of me is thinking
That's a backhanded insult.
Wait a minute.
Part of me,
like my whole life.
We've known Morgan for a while. When Super Size Me came out, I was like,
10 years.
This is a great movie, but is this a one-hit wonder? You're proving proving to the world you're not a one-hit wonder, sir. That's where I'm going with this.
Thank you. And you guys got, come on, we got a documentary with collector cups.
Why not?
What's your next movie? You starting to think of something?
No, we already shot it. We shot it last summer.
Jesus.
He's pumping them out.
We're
overachiever.
Like, I love, Like I love Comic-Con. Like I love comic books. So we went to San Diego Comic-Con and made a film about like all the people that go there. We followed folks in. It's great. We're editing that right now.
Perfect.
I love watching those, man.
It's great.
Yeah,
right. You guys will dig it.
People are fucking weird, man. Yeah, very cool. Morgan Spurlock.
Yeah, let's get
Thanks,
him out of
guys.
here.
Appreciate it. Thanks for a great day, man.
The movie's in theaters now. The greatest movie ever sold.
Yeah, and they can go on the website, thegreatestmovieeversold.com, to find out where it's playing near them.
Mike, can you plug in anything?
Yeah, what you doing, Mike?
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. No, you know what?
Thanks, Morgan.
Thanks, Morgan.
Not really. Just big kudos to the agency and the teams
right?
for what they've done. But no, I'm not plugging anything. I'm a simple person.
I'm a simple man with a simple
You got
plan.
the tie on. More TV for you today, sir?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm all over the map.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good for you.
Yeah, so
I'm doing Red Eye later in the month. I hope you're on. I always have a blast when you.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I just did it last night, and it was an all Bin Laden special last night. Yeah, singing and dancing, and we had reminiscing. We had some of his old friends come on and talk about
variety show.
Yeah. We're hoping Jimmy's going to lead a roast of the dead Bin Laden.
We need a break. So
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
The Virus, Sirius XM. Follow the Opie and Anthony Show online. Facebook.com/Opie and Anthony. Twitter.com/Opie Radio. Twitter.com/Anthony Cumia. And Twitter.com/Jim Norton. This is the Opie and Anthony Show.